So now let's move on to your next topic under your third chapter, that is capital structure theories. Under your third capital structure theories, the next topic is optimum capital structure. What is optimum capital structure? Optimum is the minimum amount of capital structure as to how you use this particular capital in order to carry out your day-to-day operations. So basically, optimum capital structure will play a vital role in terms of cost of capital. Okay, basically, optimum capital structure again is a combination of debt and equity, wherein you are minimizing your total amount of cost towards the company. Okay. Now, basically here it will help you in reducing the cost for a short period of time. Now, the combination of debt and equity that leads to the maximization of value. Okay, it is the combination of debt and equity wherein you're reducing cost in order to maximize the value of firm is called as optimum capital structure. Basically, this particular capital structure will maximize the wealth of the owners and minimize the cost of the capital. You are maximizing your wealth and minimizing your cost of capital. Okay, the cost to basically cost of capital is basically in order to raise capital, the amount of cost which you are incurring, it is basically reducing that amount of cost by maximizing the value of wealth. Okay, so every firm should have an optimum capital structure. Now, when you have an optimum capital structure, you need to analyze a number of factors to establish an optimum capital structure. The capital may change. Okay, the capital may change. Different firms will have different amount of capital. Suppose one firm might require 2 lakh as capital. Some other firm might require 1 crore as capital. Okay, based on the amount of based on the kind of operations they are carrying on, based on the nature and size of the business. Okay, so basically every management should have a specific capital structure in mind. That is, it should be a debt ratio is below the target level. Okay, the target below the target level should be your debt ratio, and expansion of capital should be raised by issuing debt only. Okay, whereas the debt ratio is above target, equity should be raised. Okay, now there will be a certain level which will be set. Okay, below the target level it will be debt ratio, above the target level it will be debt and equity which will be issued. So this is how you need to have your optimum capital structure in order to maximize your wealth and reduce your cost of raising capital. Okay, now what are the qualities of optimum capital structure? Firstly, it should be simplicity. Simplicity is basically it should be very simple enough for everyone to understand how you're raising the optimum capital structure, how you're structuring your optimum capital structure, and also it should be only in case of crisis. Okay, only in case of crisis your debt fund should be used. Now, capital structure should be very simple and easily understood by everyone, and you should people should know as to how you're raising finance from the ordinary sources and preference shares and equity. Okay, next one is flexibility. Flexibility is basically your optimum capital structure should be very flexible enough in order to cooperate with the changing environment conditions. Okay, any moment any change can be done, so it should be very flexible enough to adjust with the changing environment. It could be your internal environment, it could be your external environment. Next is minimum cost of capital. Minimum cost of capital is nothing but how you will acquire funds at a less cost in order to earn higher profits. Okay, next is liquidity. Liquidity is basically you need to have certain amount of capital in your organization which will be easily converted into liquid cash. Okay, example, you have gold can be sold immediately and be converted into liquid cash, right? So there should be some amount of liquidity position of the firm in order to carry out its operation. For example, you will have rent. Okay, for example, you will have rent, dividend rate, wages, interest, all of this you can easily get in form of cash. Okay, next is maximum return. Maximum return is basically you will have certain amount of risk while you're raising capital, but you should raise capital from effective sources wherein you are maximizing your profit and maximizing your wealth, generating a higher return, as well as you're reducing the cost of reducing it, and you need to make sure that the funds are effectively used in the future as well. Now, your next thing is your legal requirements. Now, legal requirements is basically you should raise capital in such a way as per the legal requirements only. You should comply with the rules and regulations. Okay, that is in the form of debt to equity ratio only. You should raise funds only in this particular ratio. Okay, as prescribed by the Capital Issue Control Act. As per this particular act, you should raise funds in the debt to equity ratio only. Okay, now next topic is your factors affecting capital structure. Now, what are the factors which are affecting your capital structure? You have various internal factors as well as you will have your external factors which will be affecting. Okay, See, the effective capital structure is based on certain basic factors. This is a very important question. Okay, it can be asked for 10 marks. Okay, 10 or 12 marks depending on your paper pattern. Okay, now you will have various internal and external factors. Now your external factors are basically, firstly, it is your market. Now market is why, because market, you will have a lot of companies. You will have to acquire a certain amount of share in the particular market, where depending on the kind of firm you are. Okay, depending you need to have an effective share price in the market, and how your share is being sold in the particular market. Your market also plays an important role in the raising finance. Okay, next one is investors behavior. Investor behavior is basically, your capital structure is basically purely based on the behavior of the investor. Okay, it is purely the behavior of the investor, like how the investor is planning to invest, what is the amount of money the investor is investing. Now what is the competition which is going on, what is the competitor's price for that particular share, or share. Now what is the rate that is prevailing in the particular market. All of this investors behavior have to be effectively studied in order to form your capital structure and raise your particular capital. Now next one is required rate of return. Required rate of return is basically based on the investment. You need to understand what is the amount of return that the investor is expecting, and what is the amount of return that you are possibly be able to give to the investor for investing in the particular share. Next is your business risk. Business risk is basically, it is a risk which every particular business will go through. Okay, it will basically be because of the lower in its debt ratio. Now your business risk is something because of the business cycle. Business cycle is basically your recession, depression, okay, boom, all of these stages which will be caused because of the various factors which are affecting the particular business. Okay, now basically your variation in your EBIT, that is earning before interest and tax, due to operating leverage, is called as business risk. Okay, basically your earnings which you get before your interest and tax, before paying the interest and tax, based on the operating leverage, is called as your business risk. Okay, whatever earnings you have. Next is your taxation policy. Your taxation policy is also your external factor. Different countries will have different tax rates, and different countries will pay different taxes. Okay, different taxes. Now based on the country you're functioning in, based on that, you need to adhere to the tax policies, and you need to pay your taxes to the government on a regular basis. Now you need to make sure as to what kind of tax is it, whether it is corporate tax, how you what is the amount of profits that you are incurring. Suppose if the company do not have any amount of profits, they do not have to pay tax for that particular year. Okay, but if the company has generated higher amount of profits, the company is functioning effectively, if you have a greater amount of market share, then you will have to pay a certain percentage of tax on your earnings of the particular company. Next is your competition. Your competition is such a factor which cannot be eliminated. Okay, it is something that is external. Okay, you will have you will have various amount of competitors who will be competing with you in the market. Okay, so you need to have certain policies that you will be able to generate higher returns, and also you will be able to grab a lot of investors for your particular organization or the company to invest in. Okay, next is you have your legal issues. Now legal issues is basically because of your government. Okay, now it could either be government, or it could be either be commercial banks or your income tax department, based on however you're functioning, based on the amount of loan that you've raised, and based of the amount of interest you're generating, etc. Based on all of this, from which source you've raised your finance, all of this you will have to take into consideration your legal issues also. This is something which you cannot ignore or avoid. Next is your inflation. Inflation is such a stage wherein your company tends to go in loss. Okay, wherein your company tends to go in loss because your economy is in a depressing position. Okay, it is in a depressing position wherein people tend to lose their jobs, and also you will have a lot of risk during this particular period. Example, you have COVID-19 situation, because of which the companies have to go through an inflation position wherein most of the people lose their jobs. Okay, and not many people will be ready to invest in this particular situation, so the company also goes into inflation. So they will have high borrowing capacity. Now high borrowing capacity, where they tend to borrow a huge amount of money in order to carry out their day-to-day operations. While they are borrowing this, their risk of return is getting increased. Okay, they are increasing their risk because they are not sure if whatever amount they are borrowing, they will be able to generate profits or not, whether they will be able to repay the amount on time or not. Okay, now next one is conservatism or aggressiveness. Now under your conservativeness or aggressiveness, it is basically how you are generating maximum amount of capital and how you are boosting up your profits. based on your targeted capital structure. Okay, next is you have your growth opportunities. Growth opportunity is something that is an external factor. Now if your company is functioning effectively, you can easily expand the company and you can easily grow. You can set up various companies, different units in different countries or different places. Okay, you need to make sure that you are not bankrupt, you are not taking a large amount of loan. You should take a necessary amount of loan in the form of debt and equity structure only, and in the form of debt and equity ratio. And you need to make sure that whatever amount of loan you're taking, you will be able to repay back on time with the amount of interest that has been fixed on that particular thing. Okay, so these were your factors that are affecting your capital structure. Now next one is you have your capital structure theories. Very important topic again. Okay, your capital structure theories are basically, here you will have different theories which you can follow in order to raise your particular capital and structure your capital. Okay, your capital is always determined by KO. Okay, basically your capital will show you the what is the value of the firm. By now you will be knowing what is capital structure and what is the exact thing of the capital. Now there will be various assumption of capital structure theories, that basically here the assumptions are this, you will have to by heart, and this is a very important topic. Okay, now there will be only two resources in capital structure, that is debt and equity capital. That is an assumption that they are saying you can only have two sources, that is either debt or equity. Now the dividend payout ratio is 100%, means there is no scope for the retained earnings. This is an assumption, it is not true, it is just assumption which says that the dividend payout ratio is 100% and there is no scope for retained earnings, whereas there is scope for retained earnings as well. Then the life of firm is perpetual. Okay, the life of firm is perpetual, but this is an assumption wherein they are saying the life of the firm is perpetual. Then the total assets of the firm do not change. The total assets of firm do not change is an assumption. The total financing remains constant through balancing taking place between the debt and share capital. No corporate taxes, this was removed later. No, there were actually corporate taxes also, it was not something which was removed later. So basically these are the assumptions, these are the 6 assumptions relating to your capital structure theory. Now you have various capital structure theories. You have 4 capital structure theories. Your first one is your net income approach, next one is your net operating income approach, the traditional approach, and your Miller hypothesis approach. Okay, now under your net income approach, your net income is basically your income approach. Okay, how you're generating your net income after deducting various taxes and everything. Now under your net income approach, you will also have various problems which you will be solving under different methods. Okay, your net income approach is basically this. In this particular approach, the cost of equity capital and the cost of debt capital are assumed to be independent. Okay, cost of equity and cost of debt are assumed to be independent to the capital structure. They are independent to the capital structure. The value of the firm rises by the use of more and more leverage, and weighted average cost of the capital declines. Okay, here they are making sure that the value of the firm is increasing by using more and more leverage. Okay, but when you are using more and more leverage, the weighted average cost of capital is declining. You already learned about weighted average cost in your previous chapter, right? So when you're using more amount of leverage, the WACC reduces. Okay, now the cost of debt and cost of equity will remain unchanged when D or E, that is debt and equity, varies. Okay, when debt and equity are same, the capital structure will remain same. But if the debt and equity will change, the capital structure also will change. Okay, now RA is equal to RD into D divided by D plus E plus RE, open brackets, E divided by D plus E. Okay, DE is nothing but it is an increase. Okay, D declines as DE increases. Okay, D or E increases. Now this occurs because when DE increases, RD, which is lower than RE, have higher weight in the calculation of RA. So you will understand this when you are working out the particular problem for it. Okay, now there are also assumptions relating to your net income approach. Now what are these assumptions? There are 3 assumptions. It says the use of debt does not change the risk perception of investors, whereas it will change. Okay, but it says the use of debt, okay, the use of debt does not change the risk perception of investors. As a result, the equity capitalization rate and the debt capitalization rate remain constant with the changes in leverage. Okay, next assumption is the debt capitalization rate is lesser than equity capitalization rate. Okay, it says the debt capitalization is lesser than the equity capitalization. Okay, next is corporate income taxes do not exist, whereas corporate income taxes do exist. Okay, this is an assumption which says the corporate income taxes do not exist. Now, under your net income approach, you looked into what is the net income approach and what are the assumptions of net income approach. Now, let's move on to the next approach, which is net operating income approach. Now, net operating income approach is only focusing on the operations, the amount of money which is involved in the operations, that is the day-to-day operations of the company, that is the net operation income. Okay, based on the net income which is generated from the operations. Okay, according to the net operating approach, the cost of equity increases. The cost of equity increases in accordance with leverage. Cost of equity is increasing, but in accordance with leverage, due to which weighted average cost of capital is remaining constant. Now, what is happening? The cost of equity is increasing, okay, along with leverage. When the cost of equity along with leverage is increasing, the weighted average cost of capital remains constant. The constant, basically it says neither the weighted average cost of capital is increasing nor it is decreasing. It is something which is remaining constant. Okay, now the overall capitalization rate and the cost of debt remain constant for all the degrees of leverage. Okay, now these are the necessary formulas which are taken into consideration in order to calculate the net operating income approach, in order to study the net operating income approach. Okay, now the net operating income position has been advocated by David Durnid. Very important. You will be asked as to who has generated the net operating income approach. This is the particular person. Okay, now he argued saying that the market value of the firm depends on its net operating income and business risk. He is saying that net operating income, whatever the net operating income you're generating, it is affected by the market risk as well as the business risk. Okay, he is saying this. Now, the change in the degree of leverage employed by the firm cannot change the underlying factors. Now, we also know that there are various factors which are affecting the net operating income. Okay, now basically it merely changes the distribution of income and risk between debt and equity without affecting the total income and risk, which influence the market value of the firm. Basically, he is saying you can also generate the total amount of income and risk which was not influencing by the total value of the firm. Okay, now also in this particular approach you have various assumptions. Okay, you have 5 assumptions under this particular topic. The market capitalized the value of the firm as whole. Okay, wherein the split between debt and equity is not important, whereas you need to calculate your debt and in the form you need to calculate your capital structure in the form of debt and equity capital ratio only. But here there is an assumption which is saying that you do not have to split it, but this is an assumption. Okay, that it is saying that it is not important, whereas it is equally important. Now, market uses an overall capitalization rate to capitalize the net operating income. This rate depends on the business risk. If business risk is assumed remain unchanged, the capitalization remains rate is constant. Okay, all these are assumptions. You need to by heart it because it is very important. You need to write down when it is asked. Now, the use of costly debt funds increases the risk of the shareholders. Okay, it is saying while you're raising funds from the shareholders, if the debt is very costly, then they are increasing the risk of the shareholders. The causes of equity capitalization rate to increase. There, the advantage of debt is offset exactly by the increase in equity capitalization rate. Okay, you're offsetting it. Now, the debt of capitalization rate is constant and the corporate income tax do not exist. Again, this is an assumption saying corporate income tax do not exist, whereas we all know by now that the corporate income tax do exist and the debt capitalization rate does not remain constant. That is an assumption which says it is remaining constant. Okay.